Congressman Jim Jordan, House Judiciary Chair, subpoenaed the company that employs the daughter of the judge in Trump's hush money case. The company is a Democratic marketing firm that has worked for Biden and Harris. This is an extension of the political argument that the judge was against Trump because of what his daughter does. Jordan alleges there's a clear financial conflict of interest by the judge because of his daughter's work. That is a very rare test. But instead of talking about him, why don't we talk to him? Congressman Jordan joins us now. It's good to see you, sir.
Chris. Yeah, good to be with you. An interesting monologue. I think a good monologue. You know, it's a great country, and I do wish we could come together on more things. But I thought that was good. It made me. I was thinking as you were talking, so that's probably what you wanted from your audience. So even though I guess I'm a guest, I was being an audience member right there.
Well, Jim, first of all, you're always welcome to have the conversation. And the only thing you know I can guarantee you is we're going to disagree, but when we do, it's going to be with decency. I'm not going to come at you because I want people to get the benefit
I always
of the conversation. And it's always been that way. Now, how depressing is it to you that most people in your family don't believe that government can get it done for us on the things that matter most?
Well, I mean, I think that's just because we see the track record. Big government has a way of messing things up, not doing things right. That's why our country and our Constitution is about empowering the individual, empowering freedom and economic liberty and those sort of things. But yeah, I think that's kind of normal. Whatever side you happen to be on is people take a look at Washington, and they're like, what's going on in that crazy town? So it'd be nice if we could come together and work on some. There were some issues where we did that. Even this Congress, which seems so divided. There was the issue on requiring a warrant before we could, in the FISA reauthorization, before the government can search what I call the giant haystack of information. Jerry Nadler and I were on the same page, and that rarely happens. But when it came to privacy rights, individual liberty, we were on the same page. And so, unfortunately, we lost that vote 212 to 212 in the House. But those are the kind of things where we can come together and hopefully get something done that the country agrees with, and that makes sense. And it's consistent with our Constitution.
And you guys did the infrastructure bill, which obviously has benefited red and blue all over the country. But I take your perspective, or as my therapist likes to say, well, that is one perspective, which always lets me know that he thinks I said something wrong. The other way to look at it is that you guys get rewarded for opposition more than for cooperation, and that it is in your interest to fight against the Democrats more than it is to work with them.
Yeah, but that's not my motivation. For example, we got a letter from Mark Zuckerberg 2 days ago. My motivation is not try to win or lose here. My motivation is protecting the First Amendment, protecting your right to speak, my right to speak, our right to have a robust debate, not have government try to work against you, work with big tech to censor certain points of view. If we don't have a robust First Amendment, the alternative to settling disputes is not pretty, and we never want to go there. So let's make sure we have a robust First Amendment. So my motivation is not about winning in political points there. It's about getting the facts so that we can protect the First Amendment. Same with the subpoena we sent to Authentic Campaigns, the company that Judge Merchan's daughter runs or is the president of. We think there's important information there. We're in an unprecedented time where you have a state prosecutor going after the former president of the United States, the nominee for president of one of the major political parties, in the midst of a campaign, for goodness sake. And all kinds of people, smart legal minds, say that this judge has a conflict of interest, but he didn't recuse himself, and he made all kinds of decisions that people have concerns about. So we just want to know. We want the information. We wrote him twice. We went through a long process. Finally, we had to resort to a subpoena because they won't give us any information.
But Jim, it just reeks of politics. You could do the same thing with Judge Cannon, who was asked to recuse herself because of what another judge knew about her politics. You'd be doing it with Justice Alito. You'd be doing it with Justice Thomas. Everybody's got somebody in their family who's got a strong political view, but you're picking a Democrat because you want to help Trump. And I think people see that, and it reduces their confidence in you to do the job.
Well, there's there's a little difference here. Authentic Campaigns made $9 million. That's just what we know from public records. There was 1 month alone where that company that Judge Merchan's daughter runs got $2 million from the Biden-Harris campaign. When Harris was running for president in 2019, they made $7 million according to public records. So there's 9 million reasons why that's a little different than the situations you just described. And then you have the decisions this judge made in the course of this trial, where Brad Smith, the expert on campaign finance, wasn't even allowed to testify? You got to be kidding me. We brought Brad Smith in and let him tell Congress what he wasn't allowed to tell the court. But look, that's why we're focused here. Plus, we've introduced legislation that's actually passed the committee that says if a state prosecutor goes after someone running for president, the candidate can move that to federal court, change a venue. So we're doing this because we got real legislation we're working on, and we want to get the facts, do our oversight, which is part of our constitutional duty, so we have the best information for evaluating whether we make that change in the law.
I'm okay with the removal of venue. That makes sense. But I still see the political expediency. You want to go after people who benefit based on politics. Ivanka Trump got patents from China while she was a government official. That's unheard of. Trump had money coming in all kinds of ways. He didn't completely divest. Now, let me stop myself, and here's why, Jim. I really don't care about any of this. If you want to get into the mud game, everybody is dirty. I think the focus should be on how to make things better. And this isn't your problem, what I'm going to address now, but it really bothers me, and I'm hoping it bothers you too. I care if people are messing with ballots and ballot harvesting. No question about it, okay? Got to police it. What Paxton just did in Texas reeks. He didn't come up with any proof. He's banging on the doors of 80-year-old ladies months in front of an election with ballot harvesting. It reeks of politics. How do you see this as being legitimate? Not your problem, not your state. You didn't do it. But he's a Republican.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I'd have to get all the facts there, but I think Attorney General Paxton's a good man and does a good job. I don't know the specifics of what's going on with this particular matter. What I do know is we've passed legislation in the House of Representatives which says non-citizens shouldn't be allowed to participate in our elections, and there should be proof of citizenship before you go in the voter registration roll in your respective state. But the Democrats were against it, and Chuck Schumer won't bring the legislation up. I hope we try to put that legislation on the spending bill that funds the government when we get back in September.
Why don't you?
But the idea that
why don't you offer him this, Jim? Offer him this. Because, look, I get the policy arguments. By the way, they're not great politically. I think I lose the debate 8 out of 10 times by saying people who don't have government ID tend to be of lower socioeconomic levels, and it's a disincentive for them. And now you're going to chill that group of voters who tend to be Democratic. But I get why people want identification. Why don't you guys allow what you always say no to, which is motor voter? When people register to get their license, make it a federal law that every state has to allow them to register to vote. So at least you're giving a chance to people to sign up both ways.
Well, when they do that, Chris, if they also demonstrate that they're a citizen, who would be against that? But that's not what happens. They go to the motor voter law and they get the driver's license and they just attest. They just say they're a citizen. Shazam! They go on the voter registration roll.
You got to be a citizen.
And then in some of the states, where they have ballot harvesting and they mail out. Okay, well, as long as they're citizens, then okay. I don't see a problem with what you just described. But that's not what our bill is about. Our bill is proving you're a citizen. You should not be on voter registration rolls in your respective state unless you're a citizen of this country.
Here's the problem with the bill. You're going to wind up catching more legal U.S. citizens who don't have an ID for other reasons than you are illegal entrants who are trying to vote. Every time they look at this, they make almost no cases of any widespread or significant, statistically, people who are not here legally who are trying to vote. It's a boogeyman, Jim.
Well, maybe you would have an argument, but for this simple fact. In 3 years and 8 months, 10 million migrants have come into this country under the Biden-Harris administration. 10 million. And we're now in an environment where many states just flood. They just mail out ballots to people on the rolls. So that is the problem. Maybe your argument, maybe all that makes sense in a different context, but that's not where we are today. 10 million, on pace to get to 12 million. And I always underscore this, Chris. 12 million is equivalent to the entire population of the state I'm from, the great state of Ohio. We're the 7th largest state in the union.
I get
that
it.
That is a huge number.
I get it.
That is a huge number. So that's why this legislation makes sense.
Brother, I'm with you.
We need to put it on.
It is a mess.
We need to get that passed, and Chuck Schumer needs to bring it up. There was a handful of, by the way, back to your bipartisan monologue, there was a handful of Democrats who actually supported that, but the vast majority did it.
And you had one of the most conservative Republicans in the Senate that had a bill that would pass the Senate, and Trump and co. didn't want it to get any consideration in the House. That would have helped at the border also. My only point is, you have too many people coming into this country illegally, and it's gotten worse on Biden's watch. Shame on them, frankly. It's more than politics, and they have to deal with that. Fair issue. But. The problem isn't that they're voters. I don't buy the great replacement theory. Two things can be true at once, okay? You got to stop illegal migration. And we got to do a lot better.
I just want citizens vote.
But it's...
Right.
I know, but I'm saying we don't have a big problem with non-citizens voting. I think it's a little bit of a boogeyman, but the concern about who's coming in, I'm with you all day, and you're always welcome here to make the case for what matters, Jim Jordan. I appreciate you.
Thanks, brother. Good to be with you.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.